Hello students, welcome to AP classes and this is Abhishek. In this video tutorial, we are going to discuss about constructors. If the concept of methods are clear to you, then it will be very easy for you to know about constructors. Even in ICSE examination, you get a direct program of 15 marks based on constructor. You will be asked to write a program which will be based on constructors. So in terms of ICSE, it is quite important for you. A lot to know, a lot to discuss as always, but before we begin, please subscribe my channel and like the video. What is a constructor? A constructor is similar to a method. It is very much similar to a method, but exactly it is not a method. And a constructor is invoked automatically. What do you mean by invoked automatically? Look, when we write a method, okay, when we declare a method, from the main method or from another method in a class, we have to invoke a method or we have to call a method by writing method name and by using an object. So when you write a method, if you have a method named as A and another method named as B, and you have written something within A and you have written something within B, then you need to have a main method. Here you will have a main method, right, which will call method A, and from where you can call method B, or even it is possible that from method B you can call method A, and from method A you can call method B. So to invoke a method, you have to call it. To make a method work, to initiate a method, you have to call it with the help of an object or without the help of an object. If a method is written as static, then you don't have to write an object for that. If a method is written as non-static, then you have to write an object for it, or you have to call a method with an object, isn't it? But in case of constructor, what happens is it is similar to a method. It is almost similar to a method, but it is invoked automatically. Well, I will show you an example after discussing this, that how a constructor is invoked and how a constructor is declared. Now, as I say that a method is almost similar to constructor, then how the Java compiler can distinguish, right? How the Java compiler can distinguish that which one is a method and which one is a constructor. Java compiler distinguish between a method and a constructor by its name and return type. So a Java compiler can distinguish between a method and a constructor by its name and data type. The reason is constructor name is always same as class name. Whatever class name you have to keep, it is mandatory to have a class name, to have a constructor name which is similar to the class name. Now if you have a class named as X, then constructor name must be X. If you have a class named with Y, then you need to have a constructor with the name Y. So a Java compiler distinguishes between a method and a constructor by its name. The reason is a method will never have a name which is similar to a class. A constructor name is always similar to a class. First of all, it is always similar to a class, and the second thing is that a constructor will never return anything. A constructor will never return anything. First thing you have to remember that a constructor name will be always similar to the class name. The second thing is that constructor will never return anything, whereas a method name, we never write a method name similar to a class name, and a method will return something, right? It may return a void value, that is no value, okay, but you have to write void. You have to write void, or you have to write int, you have to write double, you have to write string, you have to write a data type, you have to write a return type. Whereas no return type is written for constructor. No return type, because constructor will not return anything, therefore no return type is written. Not even void is written for a constructor. But if a method is not returning anything, you have to write at least void. This shows that a constructor and method have some difference. They have some difference. A constructor do not contain a return type, whereas a method contains a return type. It may be a void, but it contains a return type. A constructor name is always similar to a class name, whereas a method name is not similar to a class name. Okay, it is not similar to a class name. In Java, a constructor has same name as that of the class and doesn't return any value. Remember, a constructor name is always similar to the class name and it will not return any value. Now let us have a look with an example how the constructor exactly works and how we declare a constructor. Here we have a class cons. The class name is cons. Now the class name is cons and we need to declare a constructor. Well, we can have a constructor. What you need to do is just write a method name or just write a name which is similar to the class name. We are going to write a name, starting bracket and ending bracket here, and this is the constructor, right? So here we have the constructor, and how it is proved that this is the constructor. The name is similar to the class name. It do not contain any return type. Please remember this. It do not contain any return type. So this is considered as a class. This is considered as a constructor name. Now we'll see that how the constructor is called or how the constructor is invoked. Now if you want to invoke a constructor, then you write a main method, public static void main, and here we will go with this. Okay, now tell me what we read, that how a constructor is invoked, at what time a constructor is invoked, because we can never call a constructor. This is the main difference between a constructor and a method. A constructor is called implicitly and a method is called explicitly. A constructor is invoked implicitly, that is automatically, whereas a method is invoked explicitly, that we have to call a method. We have to, it is mandatory to call a method, right? Now, how can you call a constructor? What are the possibilities, or what to write here so that a constructor can be called? Number of times you create an object, number of times you create an object for this class, a constructor will be invoked. Now let us have a look for this. To create an object for this class, first we will write class name, right? Then we will write object name, then equals to sign, then we will write new keyword, and then again we will write constructor name. It ends with parenthesis, right? So this is the parenthesis. This is how we can create an object. Okay, now let us compile the program. Here we will compile it. Now when an object will be created, remember students, whenever an object will be created, the constructor will be called. If you will create an object, a constructor will be called here. Now let us write something inside this constructor, so when it gets invoked we will come to know that the constructor is invoked, right? Here we will write system.out.println constructor. I'm going to print constructor inside this. Okay, so when this constructor will be invoked, when the constructor will be called, or when this is going to work automatically, the compiler or the control is going to enter to this, right? The control will enter to this curly braces and it will print whatever is written here. Okay, now let us compile this program. Yes, the program is compiling, that is, it do not contain any syntax error. Now let us try to understand this manually, how the things are going to work, and then I will show you by executing this program. When you will call main method, when you will invoke main method, the control will enter to the main method, right? Once it enter to the main method, then here you have created an object. When an object will be created, remember, even when an object will be created during the process of object creation, or you can say that when a new keyword will be triggered here, or when a new keyword will be sensed here, because of this is the process through which an object is created. Whenever an object will be created here, right, from this place you will be directly moved to constructor part. Okay, this is called as default constructor. We will learn about default constructor and parameterized constructor in the upcoming after some time, or in upcoming slides we are going to discuss about this, but right now you just remember this is called as default constructor. Okay, name of this constructor is default constructor. Okay, when an object will be created here, you will be taken to the default constructor here. Look, you will be taken to default constructor. The reason is, we know that a constructor is called, or a constructor is invoked automatically. Okay, you don't need any external object for this. You don't have to call anything. You don't have to call a constructor. Simply create an object, a constructor will be called. Right? We'll compile this program. Let us execute. Here, when we will click on main method, you can see that automatically the terminal window is coming, and in that terminal window it is printing constructor. What is the reason it is printing constructor? Let us once again analyze this. The reason is, here you can see we have created an constructor, we have created an object, right? And we know that whenever an object will be created, a constructor will be called automatically, right? You need to call, and you don't have to call it manually. You don't have to put some external force or some external object to call a method, to call a constructor. And a constructor will be called automatically whenever you create an object here. Okay, now you must be thinking, sir, that once an object is created, a constructor is called. If we will create another object, we know that we can create n number of objects. Here, if we create another object with the name ob1, what will happen? And then if we create an object with ob2, what will happen? Look here, you have 3 objects, right? You are creating 3 objects here, so 3 times the constructor will be called. For this, when this object will be created, a constructor will be called. When this object will be created, a constructor will be called. And again, when this object will be created, a constructor will be called. Now when you compile this program and execute the main method, look here, 3 times the constructor is called, or 3 times the constructor is invoked. The reason is, we have 3 different objects. So number of times you are going to create objects, please remember, number of times you are going to create an object, that many times a constructor will be called, right? I hope this part is quite clear to you, that how a constructor is called. Okay, now why I have written here default constructor? The reason is, this constructor do not contain any parameter. What do you mean by parameter? It do not contain int a or int b, double c, something like this. It do not contain any parameter. That is the reason it is called as default constructor. But do not worry, we will discuss about both default constructor and parameterized constructor. But currently you just have to know 2 things here, that a constructor do not return a value. So we don't write anything here, we don't write void here. Okay, if you will write, you don't have to write void here. The reason is, it do not returns anything. Even if you write void, it will not give you an error, but you don't have to write void. It is automatically considered that if nothing is written, then it is void. You don't have to write void here. Okay, so a constructor do not return anything. And the second thing is that here a constructor is always, the name of the constructor is always same as class name, right? And the third thing is, a constructor is always called when an object is created. It is invoked automatically, it is invoked implicitly when an object is created. This is called as constructor, right? Now you must be thinking, sir, if we have a method with the same name, please students, remember, look to this example very carefully. If you have a method name which is similar to the class, what will happen? Public static, or you don't write static, okay, public void cons. What will happen? This will execute, and this is not going to give you any error, right? Now this is a constructor. Here you can clearly see that this is a constructor and this is a method. You can see the difference, how the constructor looks here and how the method looks here. Please remember students, we do not write void in front of constructor, because we know, it is understood that a constructor never returns anything. If you write int in front of a constructor, it will give you an error, right? But it do not returns anything. That is the reason we never write void, because it is very much sure, we are pretty much sure that a constructor will never return anything. It will never return anything, right? So we don't write int, we don't write int, neither we write void. Okay, so this is how you can differentiate between a constructor and a method here. Now if you write system dot out dot println method, okay, now let us compile the program. Look, we have created three objects here. Okay, these three objects are only going to invoke or only going to call this constructor. It will not call this method. Okay, this is a method here. This is a method. These objects are not going to call methods, rather it will call the constructor. Let us compile the program and execute this. You can see it is going to print 3 times, it is going to print constructor, but it has not called or it has not invoked this method, right? If you want to invoke this method, then you have to explicitly call it ob.cons. Now if you want to call it once again with another object, ob1.cons. If you want to call it with third object, ob2.cons. We compiled this program. Okay, the program is compiled. That means it do not contain any error. Now let me tell you manually how these things are going to execute. When you will execute the main method, you are going to get inside this main method 3 objects will be created here. So automatically three times the constructor will be called or invoked. Then you will come back, and when 3 times you are going to call or invoke the methods, this method is going to get invoked. Remember, a method need to be called, need to be invoked by the user by writing the object name or without writing an object name if it is written as static. But a constructor cannot be written as static, or it need not to be called with the help of an object. When an object is created, a constructor is automatically called. So this is how you can differentiate between a constructor and a method. Okay, remember, usually we don't write a method name which is similar to a class name, but still you can have a method name may be similar to a class name or it may not be similar to a class name. Okay, now this is a constructor, this is a method. A constructor name is always similar to a class name, and it is never written with a data type, it's a return type. Whereas a method name may be or may not be similar to the class name, but it is written with a data type. I hope these 3 points are quite clear to you. Now let us look to this once again. A constructor is similar to a method, but this is not exactly a method, right? The reason is a constructor is invoked automatically when an object is created. How the Java compiler will distinguish between a method and a constructor? It can distinguish by its return type and by its name. Usually we don't write a method name similar to a class, but even if it is similar to a class, it will not create an error. The reason is, now let us see the rules for creating a constructor. Basically we have to follow 3 rules here. The first rule says that a constructor name must be same as its class name. As you know that already, it is discussed with you, a constructor name must be same as the class name. We have to keep it same as the class name. A constructor must have no explicit return type. What do you mean by this? No explicit return type. That is, you don't have to write any return type. You don't have to write int, you don't have to write string, you don't have to write void, nothing to be written. This is very important. You will not write anything in front of a constructor. Even not void. You don't have to write void. Even if you write, it will not give you an error, but you don't have to write void in front of a constructor. Okay, and the third rule says that a Java constructor cannot have non-access modifiers. What do you mean by non-access modifiers? What do you mean by non-access modifiers? A Java constructor cannot have non-access modifiers. Non-access modifiers means that you cannot have non-access modifiers like static. Okay, You cannot write static in front of a constructor. So that is the reason the third rule says that a Java constructor cannot have non-access modifiers. Now you must be thinking that if we cannot have non-access modifier, can we write public, private, protected, access modifiers in front of a constructor? Yes. Here you can see in the note I have already mentioned that we can use access modifiers while declaring a constructor. And we can use private, protected, public or default. Default, we don't write default. If nothing is written, then it will be automatically considered as default. Okay. So here you can write access modifiers in front of a constructor. It is quite important, but you cannot write static, or you cannot write non-access modifiers in front of a constructor. I hope these three rules are quite clear to you. The first rule says that constructor name must be same as the class name. Second rule says that you don't have to write any return type. And third rule says that you cannot have non-access modifiers, that is static. You cannot write static in front of a constructor. But we can have, if you want, you can have access modifiers. Okay, even if you don't write access modifier, this is going to work. Or if you write access modifiers as private, public, protected, then the constructor will be considered as private, public or protected constructor. Now again the same rules implies to constructor. If you write public in front of constructor, then any class can access it. If you write private, no outside class can access it. And you know that what are the rules or how the accessibility level is set for protected. Whatever is for method, the way public, private, protected, default work for method, similarly here default, public, private, protected is going to work for constructor. Here we have a syntax. First you have to write a class name. Class name you have to write, then constructor name must be similar to class name, and then you need to have constructor body. Whatever you will write here, you will write inside constructor body. Whenever you are going to create an object, this constructor will be invoked, and whatever is written inside constructor body, it will get executed. I hope this part is quite clear to you. Okay. Now here we have a class. Now this is an example. Here you have a class, and you can see that this is a constructor here, written example of a constructor. The same thing which I showed you just now with an example, the same example is written here. We have a main method here. When you will execute the main method, an object will be created, and when an object will be created, this constructor will be invoked automatically. Students, please don't get confused between a constructor and a method. A constructor name is similar to a class name. It is not written with a data type. Okay. Whereas a method name may be or may not be similar to a class name. Usually we don't write it similar to a class name. Okay. Or you can say that it may be or may not be similar to a class name, but it is written with a data type, or it is written with a return type, right? What are the types of Java constructor? We have two types of Java constructor. One is default constructor, another one is parameterized constructor. We will discuss now what is default constructor and what is parameterized constructor. Then the things will be crystal clear to you. In this example, you can see we have a default constructor here. Why it is default constructor? Because no parameter is written. Now you can have another constructor here. Now this is another constructor, but in this we are going to mention a parameter. Now what is the parameter? Int a. Let the parameter is int a. And when we will have a parameter, this is called as parameterized constructor. This is called as parameterized constructor, and this is called as default constructor. The reason it is called as default constructor, because it do not contains any parameter here. You can see here it do not contains any parameter, and the reason it is called as parameterized constructor because it contains a parameter here. It contains a single parameter, whether you have a single parameter or you have two parameters here. You can have three parameters here, whatever number of parameters you have, it doesn't matter. But this, if you are at least having one parameter, this is called as parameterized constructor. And when you don't have any parameter, this is called as default constructor. Right? Now let us print this one. Let us write something here. This is called as parameterized constructor, and we are going to print the value of a here. Okay, so when this constructor will be invoked, this will print default constructor, and when this constructor will be invoked, this will print parameterized constructor. Now we have created an object. You must be thinking that, sir, when an object is created, a constructor is called automatically. But here we have two constructors. Which constructor will be called, this one or this one? Now have a look here. When you have created a constructor, I have told you, whenever you create an object, okay, whenever you create an object, first if you don't pass any parameter here, it will call a default constructor. Okay, I will show you this with an example so the things will be quite clear to you. Well, when we will execute main method, please be very careful. When we will execute main method, here an object will be created. An object will be created here, and when an object will be created, the constructor will be called. And which constructor will be called? Look here, look to this parenthesis. In this parenthesis, no argument is written or nothing is written here. If no argument is written or nothing is written here, that means it will call default constructor. This constructor, this object, when you create an object, when you create this object OB, it will call the default constructor. And what is the reason it will call default constructor? The reason is it do not contain any argument. As it do not contain any argument, so this will call default constructor. If you put an argument here, then it will call a parameterized constructor. Now let me show you this with an example. We'll compile this program, and here when we will execute main method, you can see it will only print default constructor. Is it printing parameterized constructor? No, it is not printing parameterized constructor. The reason is, when we created an object, when an object is created here, it is created with default constructor, right? It is created here with default constructor. Now if you pass 10 here, if 10 is written here, this is called as parameterized constructor. Here we are passing an argument. An object is created. Look here, an object is created. And how it is created? With the help of a constructor. But what kind of constructor this is? This is parameterized constructor. You have to be very careful that when 10 is written, look student, when 10 is written here, okay, an object is created, right? An object is created here, and when 10 is written here, this will call this parameterized constructor. Why? The constructor will be called where it will have one parameter, one argument. When 10 is not written here, it will call a constructor which do not contain a single parameter, which do not have a parameter. That constructor will be called. But when you write an argument here, it will call such a method, it will call such a constructor which will have single parameter, or you can say that where an argument can go and get stored, right? When you write 10, this will call this constructor. What is the reason? Here we are passing one argument. Here we are passing one argument, and we have a variable here, we have a parameter here which can hold this variable, which can hold this value, that is 10. So A will hold a value that is 10, and it will print parameterized constructor, and then it will print 10. Let us compile this program and execute the main method, parameterized constructor. Right? Now you must be thinking, sir, if I need to call parameterized constructor and I need to call default constructor, how we can call a default constructor and parameterized constructor? Students, both the constructor are same because it will be called automatically when an object is created, right? Whenever you are going to create an object, this constructor will be called automatically, isn't it? But here an object is created with an argument, so parameterized constructor is called. If you want to call default constructor, then what you have to do? You have to once again create an object without writing any argument. Now here no argument is written, so this will call default constructor. One argument is written, it will call parameterized constructor. Let us compile the program and execute this main method here. Look here, parameterized constructor 10, default constructor, right? So this is how the constructor can be called, a parameterized constructor can be called, and a default constructor can be called. Here you must be having a very genuine question that what is the use of having a default constructor or parameterized constructor when the work can be done by a method? Why we need to call a default constructor, or why we need to declare a default constructor and parameterized constructor? For this, you have to understand that a default constructor and a parameterized constructor, whatever constructor you declare, whether it is a default constructor or parameterized constructor, both are used here. Both the constructor, it can be a default constructor or it can be a parameterized constructor. So let us first start with default constructor, then I will tell you why we use parameterized constructor. Okay, now when you have a default constructor, first of all, this constructor is called, or this constructor is invoked because we are making an object that is OB, isn't it? So when you make an object OB, this constructor will be called. Now let us assume that we have two variables here, int a comma, okay, let it be int a and double b, right? We have two variables here, int a and double b. Now if you want to initialize a value for this, if you want to give a value to a and b, right? If you want to give a default value to a and a default value to b, this can be done with the help of a default constructor. This is quite important. Please have a look to this carefully. You have two variables, two instance variables, that is a and b, right? And here you can initialize value of a to 0 and value of b to 0.0. Okay, so a is initialized to 0 and b is initialized to 0.0. When you will write here system.out.println, then you will get ln ob.a, and you will write system.out.println ob.b. when you will print value of a and value of b. Look here, you are printing the value of a with the help of an object that is ob, isn't it? Now because of ob here, look, because of ob object, because of ob, the value of a is 0, and because of ob, value of b is 0.0. So when you are printing ob.a and ob.b, you compile the program, it will print 0 and 0.0, right? It is printing 0 and 0.0. If you initialize the value of a to 5 and you initialize the value of b to 6.0, then when an object will be created, a constructor will be called, and for that object, with the help of which the constructor is invoked automatically. So when you are creating ob object, for ob object, value of a becomes 5, value of b becomes 6.0. And why it is becoming 5 and 6.0? The reason is we are creating an object for ob, and when we create an object for ob, this default constructor is called automatically. And when a default constructor is called automatically, you will enter to this constructor, and 5 will get initialized to a, 6.0 will get initialized or stored to b. So when you print the value of a and b here, ob.a and ob.b, then it will print 5 and 6.0. Now when I showed you that we used to initialize 0 and 0.0 to a and b, look to this very carefully. 0 and 0.0 to a and b, then it is going to give you 0 and 0.0, right? Now just think that you don't have a default constructor, okay, and you are trying to print a and you are trying to print b. Here we have to print a and b. Now what will be the value? Let us compile the program and let us print, and let us see what value we are going to get. Okay, it is going to print 0 and 0.0. Then how this is how this is printing 0 and 0.0 for a and b? This is quite surprising that even if we don't have a constructor, still value of A is printed as 0 and value of B is printed as 0.0. So this is how you can come to know that this is where you will come to know that the use of default constructor. Now be very careful and be very clear that whenever an object is created, students, whenever an object is created here, even if you don't have a default constructor here, please be very careful, even if you don't have a default constructor here, default constructor will be made automatically by the compiler in the background of the program. Here we don't have a default constructor. Do we have any default constructor? No, we don't have any default constructor here. So a constructor will be made automatically at the background, and A will be initialized with 0, B will be initialized with 0.0, and whenever you print ob.a, it will give you 0, ob.b, it will give you 0.0, right? The reason is here no constructor, look here very carefully, here no constructor is existing. What I say, please make a note. If in a program no constructor is existing, then a constructor, default constructor, will be created automatically. If you have a program, this is a program, right? And here we don't have a constructor. Do you see a single constructor here? You don't see a constructor. But while making a way, look here, while making an object, you are declaring a constructor, isn't it? This is called as constructor. While declaring an object, you are making a constructor. This is a constructor. Now what kind of constructor this is? This is default constructor. It says that in a program, if you don't have a constructor, neither a default constructor nor a parameterized constructor. If you don't have a constructor here, it will create a default constructor by default. It will create a default constructor automatically. Please remember, a default constructor is created automatically. Only a default constructor is created automatically if no constructor exists in a program. Only a default constructor is created automatically if no constructor is present in a program. Now you must be thinking that, sir, if I have a parameter here, okay, if I have an argument here, now is it going to create a parameterized constructor automatically? Never. It will never create a parameterized constructor for you. A parameterized constructor will only get created if you declare it. Okay, if you don't declare a parameterized constructor, it will not get created. Now once again I'm telling you, a default constructor is created automatically. The reason is here we have a default constructor. It will get created automatically if no constructor exists, if you don't have a single constructor. But if you have a constructor here, if you have a parameterized constructor here, then you have to declare a parameterized constructor, right? Now let me show you with some more examples. Here I am going to have a parameterized constructor. This is a parameterized constructor. Here we have two values. One is int a double, no, let it be x, int x double y. We have two parameters here. One is int x, another one is double y. Now when you have a parameterized constructor, look here, when you compile this program, it will give you an error. Why this will give an error, I will tell you very clearly. If you remember, just now I told you, if you don't have a constructor, then it will create a default constructor, isn't it? Right? Now here we have a parameterized constructor, but here we are having default constructor. Look here, this place you have a default constructor. Look to this place, here you have a default constructor. So it's saying that here you have a parameterized constructor, but here you have a default constructor. Both are not matching. Is it matching? Both the things are matching? No, both the things are not matching. Okay, there is a difference between default constructor and parameterized constructor. That is the reason you are getting an error. But if you don't have a parameterized constructor here, this is going to compile. The reason is, if you don't have a parameterized constructor, if you don't have a default constructor, then automatically default constructor will be created. Okay, in the background, default constructor will be created by the compiler. But if you have a parameterized constructor, then you need to write then you need to have, or you need to write arguments here, or you need to create an object which contains an argument. Okay, here the constructor need to contain an argument, otherwise it will give you an error, because it shows that in the program you don't have a default constructor, but here you are writing default constructor, and this will not create a default constructor automatically because we have a parameterized constructor. When you have a parameterized constructor, default constructor will be not created automatically, or it will not get created automatically by the compiler. If you don't have any constructor, then default constructor can be created automatically. Let us look to this. If we pass here 10, 20.0, okay, then this program is going to execute. Why? The constructor will be created. Here we have two arguments, one is 10 and another one is 20.0. Well, so here we have two arguments, a constructor with two arguments, a constructor with two parameters is present here. 10 will get stored to x, 20.0 will get stored to y. Now this x and y value can be transferred to a and b respectively. X will get stored to a, y will get stored to b. That is 10 will get stored to a, 20.0 will get stored to b. Right? So for this object, which object? OB object. You are while creating an OB object, you have used constructor here, because we know that while creating an object, constructor is needed, isn't it? Whether it is default constructor or parameterized constructor, but constructor is needed. So here we have a constructor. We pass two arguments here, 10 and 20.0. So x value is 10, y value is 20.0. So for OB object, value of a is 10, value of b is 20.0. Right? Now let us take another example here. Let us take another object here. We have object 1, and for object 1 we are having 50, and here we will have 60.0. Right? So when this object will get created, the constructor will be called. Value of a and b will have 10 and 20.0 respectively. For which object? OB object. When an object will be created with the name OB1, this will be called, look here, this one will be called, this one will get called. Value of a and b will have 50 and 60.0 respectively for OB1 object. So value of x is 50, value of y is 60.0. When value of x is 50, a will have 50. When value of y is 60.0, b will be 60.0. Right? Now I hope this part is quite clear to you. So if you print ob.a, ob.b, then it will print 10 and 20.0. Similarly, if you print ob1.a, ob1.b, then it will print 50 and 60.0. Let us see. Look here, 10, 20.0 for OB, and for OB1, 50 and 60.0. I hope this part is quite clear to you, that how a default constructor and parameterized constructor are used. So once again I am going to tell you the whole thing. If no constructor is present, students, remember, if you don't have a parameterized constructor and default constructor, then automatically a default constructor will get formed, or it will get created by the compiler during the time of object creation, if you don't have a default constructor. And if you have written a default constructor, then it is fine, not an issue. You have already written a default constructor. But if you don't have a default constructor, then you are going to get, then a default constructor will be formed while creating an object. Okay? And if you have a parameterized constructor, remember, nothing will be created automatically by the compiler. Compiler is not going to create a default constructor for you. Okay? So if you don't have a parameterized constructor and if you don't have a default constructor, then a default constructor will be created for you. But when you have a parameterized constructor, no default constructor will be created for you. Either you have to call this parameter, or you have to create an object for this parameterized constructor, or you have to create a default constructor manually. Like this, you have to create a default constructor. Okay? like this. You have to create a default constructor. Look here, when you create a default constructor, so this object here, you can see this object is created with the help of default constructor. This object is created with the help of parameterized constructor. And here you can write a equals to 0, b equals to 0.0, right? I hope this part is quite clear to you, how you can differentiate between a default constructor and parameterized constructor. Why a constructor is needed? Because constructor is needed because we need to initialize the values for the instance variable. Okay, you have to give a starting value to instance variable. Sometimes it is needed to give starting value to instance variable. So whenever a starting value is required for instance variable, that time a parameterized constructor or a default constructor is needed, right? We have two types of Java constructors. One is default constructor, another one is parameterized constructor. A default constructor, what is default constructor? A constructor is called default constructor when it does not have any parameter. If a constructor do not contain any parameter, that is called as default constructor. This is an example of default constructor which is already discussed with you. Here you can see we have three instance variable, int a, double b and string c. I know that you have an idea about the instance variable. Instance variables are basically written within a class but outside a method. It is not written inside any method. They're independent of method. So int a, double b and string c is considered as instance variable. No constructor is created here, right? No default constructor is created, but an object is getting created. So when an object is getting created, you are writing a default constructor here, isn't it? The class name is default constructor. You are creating an object and here you are writing a constructor name, okay, or the class name. You can say you are writing the constructor name. So when you write a constructor name and no constructor is present here, automatically, as I said, default constructor will get created. Okay, default constructor will get created. A will have the value that is 0, b will have the value that is 0.0 because of default constructor, and c will have the value that is null. So c will have the value that is null. Here default value of a is 0, b is 0.0 and c is null, because the Java compiler will automatically create a default constructor. Please be very careful. It will automatically create a default constructor. Why it will automatically create a default constructor? Because no constructor exists here, and if no constructor exists here, we have to give some value to a, b and c, isn't it? So this value will be given to a, b and c with the help of default constructor. Compiler will automatically create the default constructor, and a will have the value 0, b will have the value 0.0 and c will have the value null. Create a default constructor during runtime which initializes all instance variable to its default value. So if you don't have a constructor here, compiler will automatically create a default constructor and it will initialize all the variables with a default value. Whatever default value you will have, each and every default value will get initialized with each and every variable will get initialized with default values, right? Here you can see another example of a default constructor. We are writing here we are writing about default constructor. Okay, here we have mentioned a default constructor, and using this constructor we have initialized the value of a, b and c. So when you create an object, this constructor will be invoked automatically. But in this case, what's happening? In this case, no constructor is created. So when you try to call a default constructor will be automatically created, will get created by the compiler, and a will have the value that is 0.0. Automatically it will be given by the compiler. A will have 0, b will have 0.0 and c will have null value. Okay, this is how it's going to work. And here we have a default constructor. We have written a default constructor. So when you create a default constructor, this will be invoked automatically. Here the default constructor is created by the user, where all the instance variable are initialized to its default value by the user. Here I am initializing it to 0, 0.0 and null. Here compiler is initializing the instance variable to 0, 0.0 and null, because compiler is creating a default constructor because no default constructor exists here. So compiler is creating automatically and values are initialized to its default value. Now parameterized constructor, a constructor which has a specific number of parameters. So if you have any parameters within this parenthesis, then it is called as parameterized constructor. The parameterized constructor is used to provide different values to distinct object. So if you want to provide some different values to instance variables, okay, instead of having the default values, if you want to have 10, 20, ABCD, any value of your choice, then in that case you have to write parameterized constructor. Now this is an example of parameterized constructor. Here you can have a look. We have a class named as parameterized constructor. We have a constructor with the same name as that of class. Three variables are used here: int x, double y, string z. X is getting stored to a, here we have a. Y is getting stored to b, here is b, and z is getting stored to c, and here is c. Okay. Now when you create an object, inside main method, you create a parameterized constructor. An object is created with the help of parameterized constructor, and you have to pass three values here. Okay. In the same sequence, you have to pass three values. 10 will get stored to x, 12.5 will get stored to y, and Abhishek Pradhan will get stored to z. So this is how parameterized constructor is going to work. Next, coming to constructor overloading, the way we were doing method overloading, similarly we can do constructor overloading. Okay, let us have a look what is a constructor overloading here. In Java, a constructor is just like a method, right, but without return type and with the same name as that of class. It can also be overloaded like Java method. We can also overload constructors. The way you were overloading methods, similarly a constructor can be overloaded. There is no difference. Okay, we have to follow all the rules that were followed in method. The same rule will be followed for constructor. The rules which were followed for constructor for methods, the rules which were followed for method overloading, the same rule will be followed for constructor overloading. So in Java also we can overload a constructor. Constructor overloading in Java is a technique of having more than one constructor with different parameter list. We know that in constructor we don't have return type. Okay, usually we don't write any return type, or we don't write any non-static we don't write any static keyword there. Okay, so as in a method can be differentiated. Each and every method can be differentiated only with the method name or with the parameter. Okay, but while doing method overloading, we have to keep one thing in mind, that in method overloading we can have more than one method with the same name, but they must differentiate with the parameter. Their parameter list must be different, or their parameter data type must be different. Similarly, in a constructor we can have more than one constructor. We can have more than one constructor with same name but with different parameter list. Their parameter list must be different. Okay, so they must be different by number of parameters, or they must be different by type of parameter, whether they are using integer parameter or they are using double parameter. What type of parameter they are using, they must be different by type of parameter, or they must be different by number of parameters. Okay, they are arranged in a way that each constructor performs a different task. So they are written in such a way that each and every constructor will have their own work. Okay, and the compiler can easily recognize the constructor or differentiate between the constructor, because although constructor names will be same, but they will be differentiated with their parameter. Now let us have a look to this with an example. This is one of the example of constructor overloading. In this example, you can see we have a class named with cons. We have two instance variable, that is a and b. A is int type, b is double type. Now we have two constructors here. Okay, I have mentioned two constructors. Both the constructors are parameterized constructor. Here you can see both are parameterized constructors. Here one constructor has a parameter list of int x and double y. Here two parameters are present. One is int x and another one is double y. In this example, you can see again we have two parameters, double x and int y. The difference is in both the cases we have two parameters, that is correct, but the difference is sequence of parameter. Here type of parameter is int double. In this case type of parameter is double int. So you have to differentiate the parameters by some mean. You have to differentiate it with number of parameters, you have to differentiate with type of parameters, or you have to differentiate them by the sequence. Now if you are unable to change number of parameters, if you are unable to change type of parameter, if you are bound to keep number of parameter and type of parameter same, then what you can do, you can change their sequence. In this sequence first we have to give an integer number, then we have to provide a double number. In this constructor or parameter you can see first we have to provide a double number and then we have to provide an integer number, by which the compiler will come to know that which parameter to invoke automatically and which parameter to be invoked second. In this case here you can see we have a main method. Inside main method we have created an object. In this object here you can see we have passed 10 and 20.0. 10 will go and get stored to int. The reason is first value is 10. It will go for the best match. It will find its best match. I hope you remember what is best match. So the place where it will find the exact match, first it will go there. If it don't find the exact match, then it can go for some other data type, right? So here 10 is written. 10 means integer number. 20.0 is written, that is double number. The best match for 10, the best match for int is present here. First int, then double. So for sure when you provide 10 and 20.0, a constructor will be invoked and it is going to invoke the first constructor, or you can say the first parameterized constructor. In this case here you can see first we have provided a double number and then we have provided an integer number. So when a double number is provided, it will go and invoke the second constructor which has first a double value then an integer value. So it will go and invoke double x, then it will invoke int y. X will store 50.0 and y will store 60. Here for OB object, here you can see for OB object the first constructor will get invoked, where for OB object A will have 10 and B will have 20.0. Whereas in second case for OB1 object A will have the value of y. What is the value of y? That is 60. A will have 60 and B will have 50.0. I hope this part is quite clear to you, that how a constructor overloading can be done, how we can do a constructor overloading here. It is quite clear to you. So even in constructor we can overload a constructor, but for that you have to change number of parameters, type of parameters, or you have to change their sequence, then constructor overloading is possible. This is one of the example of constructor overloading. Here we have three variables, one is integer type, one is string type, and another one is integer type. Okay, ID, name and age. This is the first constructor, this is the second constructor, and this is a method. This is a method. This is constructor, this is constructor. Okay, because class name is program, here we have a constructor with the name program, second constructor with the name program. Now when you create an object here in the main method, when you create an object, here we are passing an integer number and a string value. When you pass an integer number and a string value, it will straight away go and will find the best match, and the best match is present here, right? Why this is the best match? Because it contains an integer number or integer variable, you can say, which can store an integer number. Here it can store a string value. Okay, so 10 will go and get stored in A, and Abhishek will go and get stored in B. So ID will have the value of A, that is 10, name will have the value of B, that is Abhishek. Similarly, when you create an object S2, you pass three parameters here, three arguments are passed from here, 20, Pradhan, 30. So in this constructor you have three parameters, A will store 20, B will store Pradhan, and C will store 30. So this is how constructor overloading is possible. And I hope this part is quite clear to you, how we can do a program in constructor overloading, how we can write a program in constructor overloading. Basically you get some theoretical question from this part. What is copy constructor? Remember, in Java we don't have copy constructor. There is no concept of copy constructor in Java. Copy constructor was actually implemented in C++. Like in C++, those who practice with C++, they can implement the concept of copy constructor, but in Java we don't have copy constructor. But what we can do is we can copy an object to another object. I will show you with an example how we can copy one object to another object. This I'm going to show you. But remember, there is no copy constructor in Java. So if somebody asks you what is copy constructor in Java, simply give an answer that there is no copy constructor in Java, right? So there are many ways to copy the values of one object into another. We can copy a value of one object to another object. Like if you have some value in OB1 object 1, then it can be copied to object 2. How it can be done? By constructor, by assigning the value of one object into another, by clone method of object class. Well, these things are not required. Okay, I will tell you these things are not required for ICSE point of view. So you are not going to cover, or I'm not going to teach you anything about this, that what is clone method, how you can copy one value using constructor. Simply these things will be not used by you. These things are not at all required in terms of ICSE. Just I have mentioned this thing so that you will know that by three ways we can copy a value of one object to another object, that is by constructor, by assigning the value of one object into another, and by clone method. But you are not going to cover any one of this. Still, I will show you how you can copy one object value to another object. In this example, you can see we have a constructor that is which contains a parameter that is int x and double y, where a holds the value of x, b holds the value of y. Now, when you pass 10 and 20.0, remember for OB object, value of a becomes 10 and value of b becomes y. Now let me show you this one. System.out.println. Now if you print ob dot a comma ob dot b, sorry, ob dot a, and the next one ob dot b, if we print this one, what we get here, 10 and 20.0. Now if you want to copy the whole value, or if you want to copy whatever there is there in OB object, if you want to copy to another variable or another object, then what can be done? Simply create an object, const OB, just create an object. So this is how we are going to define an object. We have not created this object. Remember, object is only created when new keyword is used, right? Object is only created when new keyword is used. Simply we are going to declare an object that is ob1. So this defines that we have an object that is ob1, but no dynamic memory is given to it. And how it is proved that no dynamic memory is given to it, or no memory is given to object 1? Because we know unless and until you are not going to use the keyword new, no dynamic memory will be allotted to ob1. So if you want to allot a dynamic memory to ob1, if you want to put a dynamic memory to ob1, then you have to use new keyword by which object 1 will have a dynamic memory. Dynamic memory means you can store as much as value you can store into it. Okay, the size will grow as per the need, or the size will reduce as per the need, right? Next, this is ob1, okay, and we have not given any dynamic memory to it. And as we have not given any dynamic memory to it, and we have not used new keyword, remember, even if an object is declared here, it is not created, it is not given with a dynamic memory. We have only declared an object. So both the things are very different here. Here an object is declared as well as an object is given with dynamic memory, for which, because of this new keyword and because of this constructor call, you go here, from here you go and invoke this constructor. But in this case, here you can see, in this case an object is created, right? An object is created here, that is ob1, and we have ob1 here. This is a constructor. This is ob1, we have ob1 here. Then we have to write equals to sign, then we have to write new. Once you write new, you are bound to write constructor here, and you have to provide with some value which will go and get stored to this place, right? It will go and get stored to int x and double y. But what is our intention? What we want to do is, we do not want to give a dynamic memory to object1, rather we want to copy the value of ob to ob1. So declaration of ob1 is over. Now what you can do is, you can write like this: ob1 equals to ob. When you write ob1 equals to ob, the values of ob will get copied to ob1. Now what are the values of ob? Remember, for ob, a contains 10 and b contains 20.0. Similarly for ob1, it will contain, a will contain 10 and b will contain 20.0. Now if you print ob1.a, ob1.b, it will give you an output that is 10, 20.0, 10, 20.0. Right? Now I hope this part is quite clear to you, how we can just copy one object to another object. So there is no use of copy constructor in Java. Rather what we do, we simply copy one object to another object. It is quite simple. Just create an object, declare an object, just declare an object and copy the previous object to the newly made object, right? Now we have another, you have to know one more thing here, that if you want to send different values using one object. What do you mean by different values using one object? You must be wondering that, sir, here for object, ob object, we have sent 10 and 20.0, isn't it? For ob object, we have sent 10 and 20.0. Now you want to send 100 and 110.0. What you have to do? For ob object, you have already sent 10 and 20.0. Now if you want to, well, I will show you this one. Now when you print ob.a, obviously it will print 10. When you print ob.b, it will print 20.0. Now you want to print, remember, now you want to send, instead of 10 you want to print 100, instead of 20.0 you want to print 110.0. What you have to do? You just need to invoke this constructor, by which value of a will have here 100 and value of b will have 110.0. Now for this you must be thinking that, sir, we will create another object, that is ob1, and we will write new keyword and we'll mention a constructor, and here we are going to write 100 comma 110.0. So when we write 100 comma 110.0, 100 will get stored to x, 110.0 will get stored to y, isn't it? But here we are taking help of another object, isn't it? We have ob object and after that we are taking help of another object. Is it possible that using a single object, that is this one, right, this object, using a single object, that is ob, is it possible that can we have another value for x and y? Yes, it is possible. For that what you have to do is, just remember, ob object is already declared. You know, whether it is a variable or it is an object, whatever it is, you can declare one variable or one object within a method for single time. It cannot be declared again and again. You can use it again and again, but it cannot be declared again and again. Now if ob object is already declared, here you can see ob object is already declared. How it is declared? By cons. Here you can see the class name. By using this class name, we have already declared ob object. So this object cannot be declared once again, but this we can take help of this object to once again call the constructor, where you will pass 100 and 110.0 instead of 10 and 20.0. Now let us see this. Instead of writing cons, what you will write is ob equals to new 100 comma 110.0. Now this is quite important. Look here. When you write cons ob, this means when you write cons ob, I'm sorry, here I have just made a mistake. CONS. Okay. Now for the first time when you write OB, you have to declare it because there is no object. There is no object with the name OB. So you have to take help of the class CONS to declare an object OB. Now once the declaration is over, you can use new keyword to call a constructor. New keyword is used to, remember, new keyword is used to give a dynamic memory to an object. Now when you write CONS OB, no dynamic memory is given, just it is declared. When you write new, a dynamic memory is allotted, and as because a dynamic memory is allotted, here you make a constructor call CONS, you go to the constructor here, then you store 10 to X, 20.0 to Y. A will have the value 10, B will have the value 20.0. Now 10 and 20.0 will get printed here. Next, when you come down here, again you are taking help of the same object. Look, we are not declaring it. You cannot declare it once again. If you write CONS, it will give you an error that it is already declared. So declaration is not possible, but once again we are giving a dynamic memory here. So when once again you give a dynamic memory here, the old dynamic memory gets deleted, or you can say the old values get deleted. And what are the old values of OB? Old values of OB is 10 and 20.0. Right? So old values of OB is 10 and 20.0. Now when you write here new, it will put a new value to OB, it will put a new dynamic memory to OB, which will result to the deletion of the old dynamic memory. You can consider like this. OB here, in this case, OB is declared, and after that a dynamic memory is given, and for that dynamic memory it contains 10 and 20.0 for A and B respectively. Here when you once again write new, a new dynamic memory is given to OB and the old dynamic memory gets deleted, and when the old dynamic memory gets deleted, the old value of A and B will get deleted, that is 10 and 20.0 will get deleted, and a new value will replace 10 and 20.0, that is 100 and 110.0. Now here when you write new, a new dynamic memory is given and a constructor call is done here. Okay, a constructor is automatically called. From this place you will go to this place, X will have 100, Y will have 110.0, then you will come down, A will have the value 100, B will have the value 110.0. Now once again if you print the value, now here you can see it will print the values like this: 10, 20.0 for the old object, for the old dynamic memory, 100 and 110.0 for the new dynamic memory, right? So many times we get such an instance where we have to use single object. Remember, you will be using single object, but you have to pass different values for that single object. So this is how the program can be done. It is not necessary that for all the new values again and again you need to create an object. It is up to you. It is your decision how you do the program. Look, if I give you five set of values, this is one set of values, this is second set of values, then I will give you third set of values, fourth set of values, and fifth set of values. So if I give you 5 set of values and I will ask you that you have to make a constructor call. So it is up to you whether you call the constructor making different objects or you call the constructor using same object. It is up to you. If you want to keep the old values, like here in this case, here you can see the first value get replaced with the second value, isn't it? Now if you want to keep this value, right, if you want to keep this value intact, if you don't want to change this, then you have to keep OB. Now when you have to assign second value, then in this case you have to take help of another object. So if you want to keep all the values intact, if you don't want to change the values, in that case you have to take different objects. Okay, object 1, object 2, object 3, object 4, object 5, different objects you have to take. Now if you don't want the old values, once it is used, you don't want it, okay, in that case what you can do, you can take help of a single object, where once the object is used, once again create a dynamic memory for that object and put the second value. Once again create dynamic memory of that object, put the third value, fourth value, fifth value, like that. Okay, it is up to you. It is up to your decision I cannot tell you when you have to when you have to create different objects, when you have to keep a single object. It is your decision as per the question, as per the scenario. You have to decide whether you have to create different objects or similar objects. What is the difference between constructor and method? Many times we get a question that differentiate between constructor and method in ICSE examination. So, well, it is quite easy to remember that what is constructor and what is method. Even if I don't show you this slide, still at this time you can easily differentiate between a constructor and a method. Now, without discussing this point, now let us analyze or let us remember what all the things we discussed earlier. Constructor name is same as class name. It is mandatory to be same as class name, whereas method name may be or it may not be same as class name. Constructors are called automatically, whereas methods need to be called explicitly. You have to call it, right? Constructor do not contain a return type, whereas method contains a return type. Constructor do not contain any static keyword or non-access modifier, whereas method contains a non-access modifier, or you can say static keyword. Okay, so these are few points which you can write if a question is given to you, what is difference between constructor and methods. Now let us look to these points. A constructor is used to initialize state of an object. What do you mean by state of an object? Now if you have an object, and I will show you this with an example. Let us go back. Here you can see this is an object S1, right? And here you have three variables. So for this S1 variable, for this S1 object, okay, for this S1 object, you can assign a value for ID, you can assign a value for name, and you can assign a value for age, right? So it is called as state of an object. A constructor is used to initialize the state of an object. You can initialize a value for each and every instance variable which are present for an object. Now if you have two different objects, here you can see you have S1 object and S2 object, isn't it? We have S1 object and S2 object. For S1 object, ID will have 10. For S1 object, string will have, that is name will have Abhishek. And what will be the value of age? That is 0, because nothing is assigned. So an initial value is given here. For S2 object, ID will have 20, name will have Pradhan, and age will have 30. Okay, here you can say that we initialize this object, object with its initial value, or these variables with its initial value. So state of object, here you can say it is used to initialize state of an object. Method is used to expose the behavior of an object. This is used to expose the behavior, how an object is going to work. It is used for behavior. I hope these things are quite clear to you, what is state of an object and behavior of an object. Okay, because our class has two things, that is characteristics and behavior. Here you can say constructor is used to initialize the variables, right? It is used to initialize the variable, and method is used to show the behavior or expose the behavior. Here I have written expose, but you can write show the behavior of an object or use the behavior of an object. A constructor must not have a return type. A method must have a return type, right? A constructor is invoked implicitly, that is automatically. A method is invoked explicitly, that is you have to invoke it. Okay, you have to call it. Java compiler provides a default constructor. So if no constructor is written, remember, if you do not write any constructor in a class, as I told you, Java will provide a default constructor. Java compiler provides a default constructor if you don't have any constructor in a class. If you don't have any constructor in a class, it will provide default constructor. But apart from this, manually you can write a default constructor, you can write a parameterized constructor. It is up to you. Please be very careful and don't get confused here that what is default constructor. Remember, if you don't write any constructor, Java will automatically make a default constructor in the background and will assign the initial values of each variable. If it is integer, then it will assign 0. If it is double, it will assign 0.0. If it is string, it will assign null. So it will assign each and every default values to a variable, right? The method is not provided by the compiler in any case. So a default constructor is created by the compiler if no constructor is written, but a compiler will never make a default method, you can say. A compiler will never make a default method, or it will never define a default method automatically. If you don't have a constructor, then the compiler will make a default constructor for you at the background, right? But if you don't have a method, you don't have a method at all. If you don't write a method within a class, then it is not going to provide. Then the compiler will not make any method for you. The constructor name must be same as the class name. Here, constructor name must be same as the class name. Method name may or may not be same as class name. I hope the topic constructor is quite clear to you. You got to know many things about constructor. You are going to get a 15 marks of question from this topic. So be very careful when you cover up this topic. Even you get a lot of time, you get a theoretical question from this topic. So I will suggest each and every one of you to watch this video very carefully. And if it is not understood, if some part is not understood to you, please go back. You have time. Just try to review the things. Try to understand it once again. With this, we come to an end of this topic. Stay tuned with me for my next video. God bless you all.